So, quarantine in the house. Well, we are in the house. D-Train here with old Henry Fool over there in New Jersey. That's right.
Yeah.
This week, it's going to be Henry Fool and Daniel Smart Guy.
He had a week to come up with a name. He got that. Henry Fool. I finally got it easy.
Henry Fool and Daniel Smart Guy.
Fool with an E centuries ago.
Oh, that's right. That is a weird line.
Yeah,
It leads you to believe right off the bat that he's going to be like some sort of ancient being, but then it turns out he's just a pedophile.
Oh, man. Well, it's episode 198. And I hope,
really? So that means after we're done with Hal Hartley, that's the 200th episode. We got to come up with something good for that. I was going to pitch Barbershop to you, but that might not be a big enough venture.
Yeah, we'll have to talk about that. We'll have to think about that. Might have to be a one-off episode.
Yeah, maybe a real big one-off. What could it be?
A big old one-off.
Let's just cover Avatar. They're promising sequels.
Yeah, that'll be a milestone. We'll be coming up with something for that. We'll figure that out.
If you have a good pitch, we'll hear it. Tweet at us
two movies. Yeah.
At Pod Franchise. Yeah, any 2-movie franchise that you think would make a good milestone episode for us. What did we do for the 100th episode? Oh, Deep Blue Sea.
Yes, that in its own way was.
Maybe we should do something like that. Let's do the Kindergarten Cop with Dolph Lundgren.
Let's reconsider.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh yeah. By the way, I saw 4 movies. I'll tell you about them later.
Look at this. That's an off-air conversation.
I know. Listeners like to know that. Sorry, that Henry watched.
This is what we talk about when we're not talking to you fucks.
That's true. It's true.
Yeah.
All right.
Pretty much the same shit, actually.
Yeah, it's not that different. So tonight
just less regimented.
Yeah, exactly. So tonight we're covering the Hal Hartley trilogy, the first installment called Henry Fool.
Right.
I'd never seen it. I always heard of it. It's such a strange title, and Hal Hartley's one of Dan's favorite directors.
Yeah, he'd be in top 20.
Top 20. Yeah. I, as we learned last week, have seen virtually nothing of his work. So Dan has a ranking of Hal Hartley, and we both have rankings of the wonderful actress Parker Posey, and I'm imagining Dan has seen a lot more of her movies than me.
I've seen a lot. She was my first celebrity crush. If you find me on the Hinge dating app, one of the questions they ask you was childhood celebrity crush, and so all the people that see me on that app know Parker Posey's my answer.
Oh, all right. There you go.
That's right. So Henry Fool, he followed it up about 8 years later with Faye Grimm. He followed it up I think 8 years after that with Ned Rifle. It's an 8-year cycle for him.
Yeah, Ned Rifle. When's Faye Grimm? 2007?
6. And then Ned Rifle's 14.
Okay. Yeah, on the TV it comes up 2015. But that's okay.
It's probably film festivals and shit.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Ned Rifle was a weird one, too. That was like a Kickstarter campaign, but we'll talk more about that next week.
Yeah.
Yeah. Henry Fool was produced. Hal was at the height of his game, so people were willing to fund his work at this point in his career.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. What a time. So let's talk about him. He's a Long Island-based filmmaker from Lindenhurst over there on the Babylon branch of the Long Island Railroad.
Now, what does that mean to our listeners and me?
Oh, well, it's sort of halfway out to Long Island. I think Lindenhurst, you're in Suffolk already.
Okay.
It's past Amityville because I know the last few stops on that train line are Amityville, Copiague, Lindenhurst, and Babylon. Massapequa Park, Amityville, Copiague, Lindenhurst, and Babylon. Right. Stay on for Babylon.
You sound like me when I would ride the one train and I just rattle off stupid shit like, hey, there's 191, then Dykeman, then 207.
Well, anyone could do that on the subway.
Yeah. It's so funny. It means nothing to anybody who doesn't live there.
No, but there you go. He was out there on Long Island, one of the few Long Island-based filmmakers that we have.
Is that right?
Sure.
Really?
I tried to Google it. There really aren't that many. There's Judd Apatow, of course.
Because so many films take place on Long Island, so I always think
well,
that they're
that's right. One of the worst filmmakers of all time is from Long Island, Mr. Ed Burns. And Ed Burns got the career that Hal Hartley deserved.
Oh, right. Yeah. But I'm thinking of
because
like
he was handsome.
Yeah, right. But I'm thinking of like Trees Lounge and stuff. But
well, Buscemi. Well, that's another thing. That's an actor directing. No, Buscemi's a Long Islander. He comes from Valley Stream, a town over from me. He went to Valley Stream Central High. I went to Valley Stream South.
Look at that.
That's right.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm. Billy Crystal, of course, from Long Island. But right? Maybe Brooklyn?
God, I don't know.
He directed Mr. Saturday Night and Forget Paris, some of our greatest films.
Oh, boy.
Sure. Schumer, she'll probably direct at some point.
Sure. Hasn't she already? She hasn't done...
I don't know.
All right.
Did she direct that Goldie Hawn piece of shit?
I feel like she did.
I've been on a real Goldie Hawn kick lately, Henry.
She's a great person.
I got into her 80s work.
Bird on a Wire.
Oh, I recently watched Overboard and Wildcats.
Wildcat.
Yeah.
Loved it when I was like 8 years old.
That's a secret Woody Wesley movie.
They're in that?
They're both in it.
I knew Wesley was in it. Woody Harrelson's
Woody's
in that?
first big screen role.
Wow.
It's the year he started on Cheers.
Holy shit. And what was it? Overboard. Overboard's a movie I've never seen,
it's
but
good.
almost everyone I know who was born within a 1 or 2 year
sure.
1 or 2 year radius of my date, 1978, fucking loves that movie.
Well, here's the thing with that movie. What Kurt Russell does to Goldie Hawn is unequivocally rape. But at the same time, it's very charming. And Kurt Russell's great, and they have great chemistry.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And Edward Herrmann also has a great role. The late, great Edward Herrmann.
Well, why am I drawing a blank?
You'd know him if you saw him.
All right.
He was, of course, the grandfather on Gilmore Girls. You'd know him from that.
Oh, sure, I would. Sure.
Richard Gilmore.
Yeah, no, because season 3, episode 6, he has a real heel turn.
Season 3, episode 6, actually, I think he's very likable at that point in the series.
Well, that was your view. Your viewing was interpreted differently than mine.
All right. God, that's one episode away from season 3, episode 7, Henry. They Shoot Gilmores, Don't They? Which is my favorite episode of the series.
Wow, what a great title. What a play on words of the
It's a reference to the classic film, They Shoot Horses, Don't They?
I'm aware.
That's right.
All right.
So Hal, I wrote down the 8 films of his that I've seen, and I put them in order. Those are all his feature-length films, but Hal Hartley is a very prolific short film maker, and I have not really delved into those.
They'd be pretty interesting to see, probably.
Yeah. There's also one called Surviving Desire that is considered part of his canon. That's, I think, like 53 minutes long or something, and I have not seen that either.
All right.
But here is 8 films locked up into a ranking. Order up!
What up? Hi, Hartley. No such thing. Any fool. Ned Rival. Special Ned Rival.
I like that. Henry, I'll take a no such thing with Hold the Ketchup.
All right. No such thing.
Speaking of no such thing, that is my 8th favorite Hal Hartley film, the weakest of the ones I've seen. It's the only Hal Hartley movie I saw in theaters.
Really?
Yep. Yeah, I remember it was right around the time I started going to see independent films in theaters at the local Malvern Theater.
Okay.
That's where all the Woody Allen movies played, so I started going there. And I remember seeing a trailer for No Such Thing, and it looked stupid to me, but it looked arty, and so I went to see it.
Weirdly, I have almost the same memory, obviously not at the Malvern Theater, but what year did that come out again?
I want to say like a 2001 situation. It might have been just pre-9/11.
Okay, all right. Because I remember seeing previews for that too and thinking it looked awful and stupid. But I also did not know who Hal Hartley was. I didn't think anything of it. But that's the only Hal Hartley movie that I have any recollection of seeing any kind of press for.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. It's really they kind of pushed it a little bit. It had a little bit of a marketable premise because there's a monster in it, and the dumb public loves supernatural bullshit.
Yeah.
So it's got Robert John Burke, one of Hal Hartley regular, even though he's not in Henry Fool. He plays a monster, and Sarah Polley goes to like an island to collect him. It's got a lot of sort of social commentary.
A lot of
like all the scenes in in Henry Fool that take place at like the book publisher. That's a lot of what No Such Thing is.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
All
right. So there you have it. Number 7 for me is Faye Grimm, the sequel to Henry Fool, which we'll talk about next week, and I will be rewatching for the first time since it came out. Number 6 is called Flirt. That is a very experimental film. It was an expansion on a short film he did where he shot in this. It's 3 long scenes with different actors in all the 3 scenes, taking place in different locations, in different countries, and filmed in different languages. But all 3 scenes have the same dialogue. It's all the same dialogue, just in different contexts.
Jesus.
Yeah.
All right. Wow.
It's interesting to watch once.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Number 5 is Simple Men, which is a very fine Long Island-based film about 2 dumb Long Island. I say dumb Long Islanders, but Hal Hartley's so smart that like he can't really write dumb people. Even his dumb guys come across a little too literate.
I noticed that in Henry Fool.
Yes, definitely. But Ed Burns is the best at writing dumb guys because he's such a stupid person.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, you watch The Brothers McMullen, and it's like every guy, to be honest, Ed Burns does write a more authentic Long Island.
Yeah.
Because everyone I grew up with was like the fucking Brothers McMullen.
Okay.
Just dumb shit, misogynistic fucking assholes.
Right. Right.
Yeah, but Simple Men, it's like they end up in a small town. They're stranded there. It's good. Number 4 on my list is Henry Fool, which we'll talk about today. Some people consider it his masterpiece. I do not. Number 3 is Amateur, which was a little bit of a departure for him. He worked with Isabelle Huppert on that one. And then 2 and 1 are his first 2 films for me. I just think he never topped them. They're these small, low-budget Long Island movies with these great tonal scores, and both of them star Adrienne Shelley, an incredible actress and filmmaker who was murdered in 2007, sadly.
Jeez.
Yeah. She was the one who she wrote and directed Waitress, and then got murdered before it ever came out.
Yep.
So she's in both of them, and Robert John Burke and Martin Donovan. So number 2 is Trust, which is his first film about a pregnant teen on Long Island, and number 1 is, I think, his masterpiece about Robert John Burke coming back home to Long Island as an ex-con, and that is called The Unbelievable Truth.
Okay. Interesting.
A beautiful film. I saw all of those as rentals on the Blockbuster Online Movie Pass.
Wow. Mm-hmm. Nice. Okay. All right.
Great stuff. And I got to give credit. A weird name got me into Hal Hartley, and that is young Kevin Smith, who in the closing credits of Clerks thanked 4 directors for, quote, leading the way as, I guess, independent filmmakers, and the names he mentioned were Spike Lee, Richard Linklater, Hal Hartley, and Jim Jarmusch.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's very cool.
If only Kevin Smith's career went in that direction.
If any of those guys.
Yeah.
Wow, interesting. Yeah, I like when that kind of stuff happens. That's how a lot of stuff with me happens with filmmakers. I'll see a reference to somebody else and be like, well, if he liked that guy, that's got to mean something.
No, yeah. I watched Slacker, Stranger Than Paradise, The Unbelievable Truth, all on the strength of Kevin Smith. I'd heard of Spike Lee. I didn't need Kevin Smith to get me into Spike Lee.
Right. Yeah. No, that's very cool. Wow. All right.
There
Very
you go,
cool.
buddy. And now let's talk about female lead of the Henry Fool franchise, Parker Posey, the number one indie darling of the 90s, I would say. Would you say she's the number one indie darling of the 90s?
I would find
more than Lily Taylor, more than Juliette Lewis.
Definitely more than Juliette Lewis. Yeah. No, she is. I mean, because Parker Posey's never, ever really been
more than Sarah Polley.
A major movie star. She's always maintained this.
She's been in some fucking major movies, though. I forgot how many going through her filmography.
Yeah, I know, but she still maintained this totally independent air about her. I never think of her as some mainstream actress of any kind. Yeah, I think more so independent than Sarah Polley, because I think when Sarah Polley sort of just started to write or direct, that changed the trajectory a little bit with her.
Yeah, but I mean, those are independent films. I mean, she did Away We Go with Julie Christie, and then Stories We Tell, which was like a pretty low-key doc.
Right, but I still just think Parker Posey, man, she's the
queen. She's the queen of the indie world.
She's the queen. Yeah, yeah.
So we've ranked all her films and TV appearances.
I left out a couple of TV appearances that I know I had seen, but I just don't remember her in them.
I remember them all, baby.
I kept two in. I kept two in, though, so.
All right, so how many rankings on your list there?
One of our favorite monthly
This
things.
is going to be bad, I think.
I think it's going to be real bad. Can I guess how many on yours first?
Yeah, go ahead.
30.
Higher. Sorry.
40?
No, less than that.
35.
36.
36.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, this is the part of the show where Henry does get to lay back for a while. 15 for me. 15.
Then there are a lot of movies that you need to write the fuck down that you need to see ASAP.
Maybe.
Hey, speaking of that, Henry, there's something I've been wondering. Have you perhaps, maybe you should be looking through your phone right now, have you maybe seen Fitzcarraldo?
Oh, that's a really good question.
I thought so.
Because it's been a while since anyone had asked that. And, now that obviously we have all this time, I think that's personally.
I watched a Werner Herzog movie 2 days ago, Nosferatu the Vampire. What a trippy movie.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's a great fucking movie. Yeah. Boy, it's been so long, I'm having a little trouble finding it.
Klaus Kinski's great in that, but I think underrated Isabella Gianni.
Oh, yeah. You're right. Isabella Gianni's great, man.
She's great, yeah.
She's good in anything, man.
For sure.
She's
You still haven't found this.
Oh, there we go. I didn't remember what it was under. I thought I was looking for...
You could have just answered the question, have you seen Fitzcarraldo?
I don't think that's what you wanted. I don't think that's what you were going for. Here we go.
Henry seen Fitzcarraldo? Nein, he has not.
Still a no. Okay.
Oh.
Okay, number 36, the worst thing Parker Posey ever put herself into. And it's a pretty shitty mainstream comedy from the early aughts there when we were trying to do gross out stuff. And more than that, it's one of those, hey, ladies can be gross too.
Oh, good.
One of those. I don't know if you remember it. I saw it in theaters. Cameron Diaz, Christina Applegate, Selma Blair in The Sweetest Thing.
I remember when that came out because there was an independent newspaper.
Hey, I think, was Ed Burns in that?
That sounds accurate.
Maybe. Go ahead. What were you about to say?
No, I remember when I was in college, that movie came out in Pittsburgh, and they had a particularly hilarious writer for the free paper in Pittsburgh, and he was a really fucking funny movie reviewer, and he was so angry at that movie that he made a list of things in life that were better than watching The Sweetest Thing, and at the end it was like war in Iraq, abused animals, and babies with cancer.
I maybe wouldn't go that far, but
he was very upset.
It's a bad movie. I saw in theaters. Parker Posey plays sort of a villainous character. Tom Jane, by the way, is the male lead. I looked it up. He's sort of a better version of Ed Burns. There's the scene I always remember is there's two scenes I always remember because they're both sexy. One is Christina Applegate has fake boobs in that movie and she lets everybody in the ladies' bathroom feel her up. And then the other one, this is great. You'll love it, Henry. Selma Blair is giving a guy a blowjob, okay?
I'm in.
She gets caught somehow on the guy's dick. Okay. So they have to call like the police and the fire department, and everybody's like standing around this room while Selma Blair is like stuck on the guy's dick. Okay. And what they decide is that they're both freaking out, and so they need to relax. And the way to do that is to maybe sing a song. And so then the whole room starts to sing I Don't Want to Miss a Thing by Aerosmith so that Selma Blair could get her mouth off of this guy's dick.
Wow.
That's a movie. Parker Posey's in it.
That's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Wow. I can't even fucking...
It's a real scene. I had to watch that movie a fucking second time. I dated a girl in college who like loved that movie and insisted we watch it one night.
Oh, God help you.
Yeah, it was only 3 months. It was all right.
That's a tragedy.
Number 35, Henry, is her appearance as the friend in You've Got Mail.
Saw it.
That's on your list?
On my list.
Is that number 15?
No, it's not the worst thing I've seen her in. No.
Interesting. Number 34, I've brought it up before, is that Richard Linklater documentary I don't like. Number 33 is her appearance as one of the villains in, superhero count, Blade Trinity.
Right, didn't see it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, right.
Number 32, she plays a friend. You know, in all these indie movies, she's the star, but then if you put her in a mainstream movie, she's usually the friend or the henchman.
Yeah, I noticed that.
She's never the main villain or the main star.
Nah.
Number 32, she plays a friend in the Julianne Moore, Pierce Brosnan rom-com, Laws of Attraction.
Which I've seen half of.
It's watchable.
That bad.
Yeah.
It's not that horrendous, but I still
they shot some of it in Ireland, so it's pretty.
Right. Yeah, no, I remember seeing like some of it on TV and being like, "Oh, this isn't that terrible." Click.
Well, both of them are charming. 31 is the watchable Josie and the Pussycats film by the guys who made Can't Hardly Wait. And it's all right. Number 30 is, we've covered it on the show, she was in Scream 3. She was your MVP, I remember.
Oh, was she?
Yes.
God, look at your memory. That's like almost 4
Listen,
years ago.
I was very concerned about you watching the Scream movies, and so I was very aware of all your opinions at that point. Also very early episodes.
Oh, very, very, very.
So I probably actually listened to them.
Yeah, and I did too. And I recall I think I'm recalling correctly, Scream 3 was a clear worst one for me, right? I liked that the least.
Oh, for both of us. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, that was the worst one. Yeah. Okay.
Number 29 on the list, I don't remember her being in it, but apparently she was in Coneheads along with everybody else in 1993.
Yeah, that's on my list. I don't remember her in it either.
Number 28 for me, she was in one of the sequences of that Hal Hartley movie, Flirt.
Okay.
Number 27, she was in The Anniversary Party, which was written and directed by, I think, Alan Cumming and Jennifer Jason Leigh.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
That movie's too long and very self-indulgent, but it's got some good moments.
Totally agree with every part of that. I saw it in theaters, and I remember thinking, when I was watching it, I remember thinking, this movie's very self-indulgent and totally too long, but it's got some good stuff in it.
Oh, great stuff, yeah. Number 26, she showed up on the HBO series Bored to Death, the Jonathan Ames show with Schwartzman.
That's right.
Yeah. Number 25, her appearance in the season 2 premiere of New Girl. And number 24, she was in a few episodes of the TBS show Search Party that I watch.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. I like your clip right now. You're going at a clip. It's good.
Yeah, I put those TV shows back to back to back. Number 23, I tried to rewatch this movie recently and couldn't find it online. Written and directed by, I think Rebecca Miller, the lady who's married to Day-Lewis.
That's right, Arthur Miller's daughter.
Yeah, that's right. Personal Velocity is the film.
Yeah, I remember that.
It's a good movie, and she's good in it. Number 22 here is Faye Grimm. Number 21, Henry. She was on. Listen to this. She was on a show created by the creator of Gilmore Girls, Amy Sherman Palladino. The creator of, listen, she's all killer, no filler, Amy Sherman. Gilmore Girls, Marvelous Mrs. Maisel. These are powerhouse shows. Unfortunately, she also created a show called The Return of Jezebel James that got canceled after 2 episodes.
Nice.
And Parker Posey was the lead of it.
Aww.
And Lauren Ambrose played her younger sister.
Oh, wow.
It was all right.
Yeah,
I mean, maybe it could have gotten better. I only saw 2 episodes.
Right.
Number 20, Henry, the top 20 Parker Posey movies is the great independent film, not great, very good independent film, Clock Watchers.
Didn't see it. Yeah.
Number 19, she showed up in the great Greg Araki film, The Doom Generation, along with everybody else in 1995.
Yeah.
Number 18, she showed up in Noah Baumbach's first film. This is like her indie years. She's just like, hey, wait, is there an indie movie? Can I be in it?
Yeah.
Number 18, she must have been at every film festival for like 15 years.
She would have had to be. Yeah.
She must have been. After Doom Generation, my number 18 is Noah Baumbach's first film, Kicking and Screaming, which could have been even higher.
Didn't see it.
I don't know.
I'm recalling an important point I wanted to make, which is a good time to say now that we're coming to me soon, was that I think one of the reasons I haven't seen that many Parker Posey films is a lot of the films you mentioned are sort of very much of the same ilk. Like they're kind of lighter with some darkness, but they're so indie that they didn't
Henry's
quite
looking
catch...
for mainstream tripe. And unfortunately, Parker Posey doesn't make that much of that.
That's an extremely unfair accusation.
It's actually bullshit. You watch a lot of indie movies. You watch tons of shit I've never heard of.
Shit, Low Tide. There you go, buddy. No, it's like I get Personal Velocity, Kicking and Screaming, those kind of movies. Like I think at that time period, I just wasn't seeing it, and I feel like Parker Posey now would be making these things. I'd be seeing them a lot, but like they're just they tend to come across the titles she's in as
she'd have to be people's moms now in those movies.
Yeah, I guess you're right. I guess they just didn't. I don't know why. I guess they had kind of a Nicole Holofcener light thing going on there, and not her greatness.
Well, I mean, some of those movies came out pre Nicole Holofcener. I mean,
right?
Doom Generation's a pretty wild movie, man.
But I mean, like things like Clock Watchers, like those things just didn't appeal to me. They were like they had to be something like Living in Oblivion for me to like. I guess the subject matter had to be something for me to
Clock
really
Watchers is just like office malaise. That appeals to me. There wasn't that much of that at the time. It was pre-Office Space.
I know. I don't know. I don't know why Parker and I haven't crossed paths more. I'm trying to put my finger on it. You know.
Well, you might not have been obsessively in love with her like I was for a period of 7 or 8 years.
Not obsessively. No, not obsessively. I do think she's quite an amazing
fetching.
She's quite fetching. Yes. But yeah. Anyway, continue. What's your number now? What are you on?
Oh, I'm up to 17. Which is the Woody Allen. She's done a couple of Woodies. Number 17 is Cafe Society. Number 16, she played a rival of Amy Poehler's on Parks and Recreation.
Yeah,
in the nearby Eagleton town. 15, go ahead.
All right. And for the record, Cafe Society made it that high up.
I like that movie.
List. Oh, yeah? All right. I didn't know
good.
you did.
Alec Baldwin, one of his rare good roles.
Oh, man. All right. Number 15.
Carell and K-Stew. Lots of good stuff. It's all coming back to me now.
Okay. All right. The worst Parker Posey movie that I've ever seen.
Oh, my God. If you say Superman fucking Returns, I'm going to sock you.
Mm-hmm. Okay. It's Superman Returns.
Fuck you, man. Notice we haven't even reached that on my list.
No, yeah, it's the worst thing that I've only have 15 movies on here.
Kitty Kowalski, by the way. I remember that off the top of my head.
Yeah. Right, you are right. Yeah. That's the worst movie she's ever been in that I've seen.
Did you know
Hands
that
down.
Did you know that I watched Footloose today? And do you know the actress Laurie Singer? She was the female lead in Footloose. She was also in The Man with One Red Shoe and Shortcuts. And I looked her up, and it turns out she's a cousin of Bryan Singer.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Really?
Interesting stuff.
But she severed that relationship.
I wish something else we had severed. My number 15 is the very fine Christopher Guest film For Your Consideration. You know, she was in that one Mascot on Netflix, and I never got around to watching that. I feel like I still feel like I should at some point.
I remember it. Yeah, didn't watch it. Number 14 for me is Scream 3.
Okay, my number 14, another Woodman movie. Woodman, Jesus Christ. I hate myself.
It is the Woodman.
Yeah, Irrational Man with Joaquin Phoenix. Better
Joker.
movie than Joker.
Phoenix. I highly, highly doubt that. Number 13, probably the worst movie by this brilliant filmmaker that I love so dearly, but probably his worst venture, and that's For Your Consideration.
Well, we haven't seen Mascots. We don't know.
Yeah. That was a TV show, you said.
No. That was a movie he did for Netflix. He did a TV show called Family Tree that I really liked with Chris O'Dowd.
Oh, right. You're right. Mascots. Yeah. Okay, it was a movie. I wonder if I turned that on and turned it off.
I don't know. It's got the whole Christopher Guest crew. Yeah.
Anyway.
My number 13 is another Christopher Guest movie, and that's A Mighty Wind.
That's my number 12, which is in my rankings very low.
Yeah, I know. I like that movie a lot more than you.
I saw it in the theater, and that was my first theatrical disappointment with Christopher Guest. Yeah.
You know what I have to say about that ranking?
What's that?
Hey, what happened?
Now that's the best part of the movie.
Okay,
that's the best part of the movie. I still think about that line quite often.
Yeah, me too.
What happened?
What happened?
What happened?
I like how he just fits it in. It's sort of like his get her done.
Love Fred Willard.
My number 12 is Superman Returns.
Glad to see it a little lower. Should be lower than that. No, it's okay. It's
Did you say you're 12?
I'm about to.
I'm sorry about that.
No, I did say my 12. That's A Mighty Wind.
Oh, okay. Yeah. What's your number 11?
Number 11, I don't remember her in this, but it makes perfect sense that she was in it. And it is a better movie than the four aforementioned, and that is Basquiat.
Oh, I have not seen that, but that is another Parker Posey indie of the 90s.
Of course.
My number 11 is her very fine recurring role as Alan Cummings' ex-wife, who's also like a campaign planner or whatever, political campaign planner on The Good Wife.
Okay. All right. Number 10, again, I guess she's in this movie. I remember the other person standing out was Dave Chappelle, but I watched this movie on an airplane, and that is You've Got Mail.
You didn't remember her in that?
Nah.
It's like Meg Ryan and Tom Hanks each have a best friend that they consult with throughout the movie. And Parker Posey is, I don't remember whether the genders matched or were mixed. No,
Chappelle was Tom Hanks' friend. That's who I meant. That's who I remember, Dave Chappelle.
Okay. So Parker Posey must be Meg Ryan's best friend, but then where does Greg Kinnear fit into it? Because I remember him being around.
I thought he was
maybe a romantic rival?
I thought so. Yeah. I watched it on a plane to London.
Okay.
I watched a lot of stuff during that flight. That was just there, so it was there, and I watched it. You've Got Mail. That's number 10.
Oh, that made your top 10. My number 10 is Henry Fool.
Ooh, all right. Guess we're getting a little indications of where these movies are going. Or maybe not. You did have 36.
Yeah, 36.
Yeah. Number 9, I remember her in this, and I remember her, as usual, being great in what was a great show, and that is Louie.
I knew you were going to say that shit. My number 9 is the another Hal Hartley movie, Amateur.
All right. My number 8, and I remember her very well in this, a little bit, not very well, and then he says a little bit. No, I remember her in it. Parks and Rec.
Yeah. My number 8 is Greg Mottola's first film from the 90s. He went on to do Adventureland and other stuff. And this was The Day Trippers, a very fine New York indie with Liev Schreiber and others.
You know what it is? I thought of the word of why I might have avoided some of these movies. They struck me as being very slight.
There's nothing slight. I don't care. I don't mind slightness.
I don't either, but it feels like I'm trying to see the trend in a lot of these movies.
They're talky.
Yeah, they are talky, but not talky in like a Whit Stillman way or
no, they kind of are.
Yeah.
How has Parker Posey never been in a Whit Stillman movie?
I don't know, but
she would fit right in.
She's probably in one. We just don't remember what it is. All right, number 7 for me is The Anniversary Party.
Okay. My number 7 is her great role in Richard Linklater's Suburbia.
All right, and these 6 are great movies, these bottom 6 here. Number 6, Dazed and Confused.
My number 6, the great Daisy von Schurlermeyer film, Party Girl.
Party Girl. I remember when that came out. I didn't see that fucking thing.
Fucking classic.
All right. Here we go, folks. It's time for this.
Heavy hitters. These are the grand slams, the slap shots, the three-pointers, the touchdowns, the curling when the puck gets close to the circle. These are the heavy hitters of the franchise. Heavy hitters.
Number 5. Coneheads.
Coneheads made your top 5?
I love Coneheads.
You don't even remember being in it.
That doesn't matter. I love the movie.
It's not a heavy hitter.
That's a heavy hitter for me. Oh, I got 15.
My number 5 is a heavy hitter. It's a great show. I know we're not allowed to talk about it anymore, but I'm going to briefly talk about it. It ran for 6 seasons of really just great artistic searching and leading to some beautiful and funny moments. And listen, what the guy did is unforgivable in my book, but boy, did he put out some great art when he was given the opportunity by a blind Hollywood. And that is Louis C.K.'s Louie, which Parker Posey was in a number of episodes in, I believe, the 4th season, and she was really great.
That's very well put, the way you put that. Yeah, it's true. Number 4 for me is a movie that I believe Dan told me was still not available on DVD, but was one of the funniest theater-going experiences I've ever had, and I would really like to see it again. And that is Suburbia. Suburbia
is still never on physical media beyond VHS. I still have my VHS copy. Hey, Criterion, get on that. They did it with Day Trippers. Criterion put out Day Trippers, which hadn't been released, really.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, they need to get on that, because I saw it when it came out, which must have been 23 years ago.
Yeah. Great.
Or no, more than that. When did that movie come out?
96.
24 years ago, I saw it in theaters. Jesus Christ. All right.
My number 4 is her incredible Thanksgiving incest dramedy, all taking place in one house, where she plays a character who likes to dress up as Jackie O and reenact the Kennedy assassination while fucking her brother. And it is called The House of Yes, and it is a masterpiece.
I had no idea that that's what her character did in that movie. That's fucking insane.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ, I never saw that. All right. Number 3, she's absolutely incredible in this movie. Incredible. Was a close contender for MVP. That's Henry Fool.
Wow, okay. I'm excited to talk about Henry Fool with you.
Yeah.
My number 3 is her great appearance in the not appearance. Yes, she has a legitimate role in the Christopher Guest film Best in Show.
All right.
Where's Busy Bee? Where's Busy Bee?
What happened?
Wrong movie.
I don't care. My number 2 Parker Posey film is Waiting for Guffman.
Okay. My number 2 is the best film she's ever been in, but she has a pretty small role, so I put it as number 2. She plays Darla, the wonderful bitch queen in Dazed and Confused.
Nice. Well, that's kind of the rationale.
Fry, freshman piggies. Actually, I think that's a Joey Lauren Adams line. Never mind. But she's in the scene.
That's kind of like why my number 1. I think she's more memorable in Waiting for Guffman, but the best movie I think she's been in is my favorite Christopher Guest movie, and that is Best in Show.
Wow. Air raid bitches. Sorry, I had to come up with a Parker Posey line from that movie. From Dazed and Confused.
Okay.
Waiting for Guffman, of course. The DQ. Yeah. You come on down to the DQ. I'll make you a blizzard. Teacher's pet. I want to be teacher's pet.
So we both picked Christopher Guest movies.
I went with Guffman as my number 1, yeah.
I get it. I get it. And I went with Best in Show. I always remember the other great little Christopher Guest-ism in Best in Show. Do you remember his character? He's one of the more understated ones.
You mean Pine Nuts?
Holland with his name's Holland.
Harlan, yeah.
My bloodhound.
Bloodhound doggy. Yeah. He has a ventriloquist dummy.
Yeah. God, dude, lost my shit in the theater when he started singing that song where he's like alternating his mouth with the dummy's mouth. Wake up.
And he keeps replacing every word with like a lot of G's because they don't move his mouth.
Honky tonk. Oh wait, I know the song. Come on, we're honky tonkin'.
Yeah.
Louisiana gonna honky tonkin' with Louisiana. Do you remember
the scene where one of the ventriloquist dummies' eyes starts getting lazy and Christopher Guest just looks at it and goes, "You getting tired? You going to sleep?" Yeah. Amazing.
This is the Super Bowl of events, right? Am I right? You'd call it's almost like everyone's come down to weave a giant web like a spider gathering a spider's babies all together in a giant silken web of dogs, right?
The Gray Ghost. This is the only podcast where you get to hear 2 fucking losers just say lines from a movie. Actually, that's every podcast.
That Gray Ghost.
Okay.
Oh God, I gotta watch that. I need that laugh. That fucking Fred Willard, man. That's Oscar worthy. That fucking performance.
I couldn't agree more, man. Every time, I watch the Westminster Kennel Club Dog Show every year, and like you cannot watch it the same way. Like you can only think of Fred Willard in that movie. And underrated is Jim Piddock, that actor, the British actor. His sidekick.
He's great.
He's great too.
He's fucking great. Yeah. It's not really a baseball type of situation. It's not really a home run. Yeah. How do you judge it?
You ever put like a detective's cap and a pipe, a little pipe?
Kind of like Sherlock Holmes there, isn't he?
Oh, there's that Sherlock Holmes dog again. All right. Henry
Fool.
The Hal Hartley film about Henry Papali. And
I hope not. He's got that one characteristic that I didn't know that.
You mean the pedophilia?
Didn't think that was going to be part of the movie. Other than that,
Henry, you ever have a sordid afternoon with a 13-year-old?
No, I have not.
What about when you were 13? You ever think about that, Henry? Sometimes I think about how I've gotten a blowjob from a 14-year-old. And, like, I was 15, but it's still weird to think about. I remember what it feels like.
Because you were the age of the person at the time.
Yeah, but now I'm a 33-year-old man, and I still remember what that toothy braces blowjob was like.
Right. Interesting. Your thought process is really the thing of sort of a Stephen Hawking Pornhub.
You call me a genius?
I feel like if Pornhub had geniuses, you could be the Hawking of that site.
I don't.
You could have
Pornhub.
Like you could have a blog.
Pornhub's fucking basic, bro.
That's my point exactly. See. The world's most popular porn site is too basic for
by the way, can I say something? I forget who, but remember I asked for porn recommendations on the podcast?
I knew you'd get one from somebody, did you?
Someone slid into my DMs, told me use Bing. Apparently Bing's search engine is better for porn than Google. And I took him up on it, and he's absolutely right. It's weird.
Wow. Okay. Helpful hint to
everyone in hey, you're in quarantine? Give yourself a quarantine climax.
For all our female listeners, we love to give you information that
women don't watch porn?
No, all the time, same rate as men.
Every girlfriend I've ever had except for one has I could reference a porn site and they know what I'm talking about.
You don't think that's just through kind of popular knowledge type of thing?
No, because I look at the obscure ones. I'm not talking about Pornhub.
You do look at the obscure ones, I fucking bet. All right, well, interesting
That's
stuff.
another difference. I'm like the Hal Hartley. I like a Hal Hartley porn, and you're more of the Michael Bay porn. Do you know how to stream porn, Henry? Is that something you do?
I still go to the local convenience store and buy the magazines wrapped in the plastic with the free DVD. That's what I do. Yeah.
I bought one Playboy once I think I talked about this on the podcast because Chuck Palahniuk had published a short story in Playboy, and I was like, "Mom, can you buy me this? I know it's a Playboy, but my favorite writer." Because he's everyone's favorite writer when they're 16.
Oh my God, he sure is. You don't sell yourself short to that, man. When I was in college with fucking 20-something-year-olds, he was still everybody's favorite.
No, he is until you turn like 25 and then like you have ideas about the world.
I was at a lecture of somebody after he had been there the day before at Pitt, and he induced everybody vomiting all over the floor. It
was that same short story from the Playboy. It was called Guts. Because I saw him do it at Barnes & Noble, and someone passed out.
Okay, so he was at Pitt during that.
Yeah, that whole short story is just like gross masturbation stories.
Yeah.
The one I remember is somebody using like he put like wax in his dick and it hardened or something.
Oh God, I don't know. I for some reason I thought it was that one about the plastic surgery that the woman gets.
Oh, well, that's a novel, I think.
I know.
That's Invisible Monsters.
Invisible Monsters.
Oh, so you saw someone throw up from a reading of that book?
I thought so, but I could be wrong on the
years.
It's
possible.
This would have had to be between like 2000 2004, so I don't know.
No, that sounds actually right. It could be that.
Yeah. Who knows?
H-Dog, let's talk about H-Fool.
Yeah, we're an hour in.
Well, not quite.
Not quite. Let's get to it.
All right. Hal Hartley wrote and directed it. It premiered at the Cannes Film Festival in 1997 before being released in theaters in 1998. Henry, do we have that Cannes Film Festival Palme d'Or theme?
Oh, yeah, sure. We sure do. Je m'appelle, qu'est-ce que c'est? Parlez-vous français quand je m'appelle? Qu'est-ce que c'est? Comment c'est va Cannes?
That was an instant classic, as far as I'm concerned.
You think so?
I think so. I think that's going to be a big one. I think we got to start covering more obscure content just so that we can hear it more.
Well, Merlis will send it to me. He'll cut it, send it,
that's right.
Ship it. Cut it, send it, ship it to me,
Merle. So it was nominated for the Palme d'Or at the Cannes Film Festival, but it lost. And it won the Best Screenplay award at the Cannes Film Festival.
Okay. Yeah,
how about that? Hey, let me look up what won that year.
98.
Why don't you talk for 2 seconds?
I'm looking too. So we can both be silent. It takes too long. So I didn't remember while you're looking. Did you say you had only seen this movie once or never?
I had seen it once. I'd seen the first two, and
how long ago?
Oh, when I was working at Blockbuster, like 2004 or 5.
Oh, very long time. Okay.
Yeah.
So not a fresh memory of this movie.
By the way, at the Cannes Film Festival, the 50th annual Cannes Film Festival, Henry Fool lost the Palme d'Or. It was a tie between a film called The Eel and the Abbas Kiarostami film Taste of Cherry.
Oh, I thought you were going to say Breaking the Waves. I thought maybe it was to that.
But incredibly, the opening film of the festival that year was The Fifth Element.
No, of course. Luc
they love Luc Besson. Hey, and listen to this. The jury president of the jury for the Palme d'Or was Isabella Gianni.
Really?
Yeah, I can't believe she's coming up again.
That's weird.
Also on the jury that year, Mira Sorvino and Tim Burton and Michael Lee. So how about that?
That's beyond okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I love Mira Sorvino, but wow.
Yeah, right. Weird.
I thought Quentin was on that at that point.
It might have been a different year.
Yeah, interesting.
It's a different jury every year.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, it's not like Quentin is like on the jury now. He just led it one year.
It's not the Supreme Court. It's not a life appointment.
Yeah. H-Dog, this finally came out June 19th, 1998 in theaters, presumably as counter-programming to Armageddon or some shit.
See, that's what surprises me that I didn't see it then, because that was the height of my going to see these types of movies in theaters, and I don't know how I missed it, but I did, and so here we go. Here we go. I had no idea what to expect.
It made $1.3 million at the box office, which made it the number 198 film of 1998, between something called In God's Hands that I've never heard of, and Cousin Bet, which I think had Jessica Lange.
I know that. Yeah, I remember that shit.
Like a period piece, right?
Yeah.
I'm looking up this In God's Hands. Looks
in
like
God's hands, we all struggle in God's hands.
Oh, it looks good, Henry. It's a surfing movie.
Oh, jeez.
That is not what I expected from that title.
It's by Herzog. This is a surfing movie.
No, it's actually directed by famous producer Zalman King, Henry.
We have covered Zalman King.
We certainly have. 9.5 weeks.
Yeah. For more. That's the kind of thing we need to do for our 200th anniversary. Something fucking nuts like that.
Oh, like something like 9.5 weeks? Should we do something sexy?
Something zany. I don't necessarily mean sexy. Just something real off the beaten track. Something like Henry Fool.
Sure. All right. So
the episode is to get the lowest possible listenership we can. And then
it is. Well, you know what it kind of is? It's like Stockholm Syndrome. Like everyone's stuck at home. They've got nothing to do. Hey, there's a new franchise episode. What's it on? Something I don't give a fuck about at all. I guess I'll listen to it anyway.
It's nuts. They don't care what we're covering. I know it.
They do, though. I see the listenership. It goes down when we cover something that's not as popular.
Those are the fair weather fans.
Yeah, fuck you, fair weather fans. Well, they're not listening.
We need the hard rain fans. Fuck the fair weather. We need hard rain fans.
That's right, baby. Christian Slate.
All right. So how's this
all right?
movie
You started to give your opinion before, but I hadn't finished the stats. Go ahead.
Realize that you have sometimes these pregnant pauses, and I think you're done, but I'm not. Still, I'll get the hang of it in another 4 years. No,
Here's to 200 more episodes.
Yeah, first of all, I was surprised at the running time.
Yeah, this is Hal Hartley's longest movie. His films are usually short as fuck. Yeah, most of them are around 100 minutes.
Yeah. But so it was a little daunting going in because I really didn't know what I was in for. This was a real shot in the dark for me when I kind of picked this. But
2 hours and 17, by the way, for the listeners.
137. But I didn't mind. He has this very interesting way of chatting, of having his dialogue kind of go from place to place. He reminded me in tone a little bit of Hal Ashby.
That's interesting. Last Detail. Harold and Maude, sure.
That's what, so specifically Harold and Maude. And I also feel like he must have had an influence on Wes Anderson.
He definitely influenced Wes Anderson. I mean, there's no way around that. But to me, dialogue-wise, I always think it's very David Mametian because there's a lot of pauses and going back. Like, the dialogue's really specific. There's a lot of non sequiturs that mean a little more than you think it's going to at first.
That's an interesting observation. I didn't think Mamet, just because Mamet's so rapid fire and Hartley's more
it's slower. Yeah. And I mean, it's not immediately noticeable because Mamet, it usually writes these very twisty plots that are like wrapped up, and a lot of Hal Hartley's plots are either really simple or like just surreal nonsense.
Yeah. But the dialogue's very carefully crafted,
exactly,
and delivered with exactitude. So I think that's probably
I think in many ways, Hal Hartley, like Aaron Sorkin, uses the same actors over and over again because there are only a few actors that can really do his dialogue to his liking.
I think that's probably right. I mean, I can't. I've only seen this, but I can see how that would be the case.
Yeah. And I think one thing that's hurt Hal Hartley's career, actually, is that none of those actors ever broke big.
It doesn't certainly look like that.
No, most of, like, a lot of those guys all have, like, a few people. Like, Mamet started using Joe Mantegna, and he got put into Godfather 3 and shit. And, like, I mean, if you look at these, like, repertory companies, like, even Kevin Smith had, like, Affleck and Jason Lee, and Linklater had Matthew McConaughey get big, and Ethan Hawke and shit. I mean, Hal Hartley, I mean, the people he uses over and over again are Robert John Burke, Martin Donovan, fucking Bill Conti. Not Bill Conti. What's the guy's name?
Thomas Ian Ryan is the main guy here. I don't know who you're
Conti.
thinking of. James Urbaniak?
No, he's not. The guy I'm talking about isn't in this movie.
Oh, okay. I don't know. But I mean, Mamet also draws huge names, and I mean, even in the '80s when he really
because he had already gotten off the ground as a playwright.
House of Games and William H. Macy and all that. Those guys, But that's. I mean, is that Hal Hartley's doing? Is he just cool with that? Probably. I mean, I don't know.
Well, I think Hal Hartley would like more success. I don't think he bristles at the thought of being able to make movies more easily. I mean, the motherfucker has had to go online and crowdsource fund his last 2 movies.
That's really silly. That's
sad. I think that's fucking. I think Hollywood should be embarrassed about that.
Yeah, of course they should. But anyway, so.
By the way, Bill Sage is the name of the fellow I was trying to come up with. Yep, of course you don't.
Yeah, right. So, let's just, I guess, go through the plot for basically what it is essentially,
So we meet Simon Grimm is James Urbaniak, who he's actually gone on to have a really good character actor career. He hangs out in sort of the comedy community, so he ends up in a lot of indie comedy stuff. He was great as a regular on the show Review on Comedy Central with Andy Daly. But this was like one of, if not the first movie he ever was in.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's interesting. He's the lead, and he's sort of autistic, and he's a garbage man, and he's shy,
Yeah, I didn't get. That's interesting. That's interesting right off the bat. I didn't get autistic. I just got extremely socially awkward. I didn't get autistic, but
I think there's something deeper at work there. Yeah, on the spectrum, whatever.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, his sister's Faye Grimm, who is Parker Posey. They live with their mom, who's an unknown actress, older woman who appears to be Latino, even though they're both white.
I tried finding her because I thought she was so good in this.
I did too.
There's nothing on her. Her IMDb page has this movie and then some fucking shitty zombie movie. It's got no bio information. It has nothing on her. Maria Foster is her name. I was able to find that. That's it. And I think she's really good in this movie. It was very strange. I mean, I don't know how she got this or what happened to her.
Who knows? I don't know how that works, man. He just finds people.
Yeah, it's true. Maybe if it's that kind of thing, then maybe he fucking found her in a bar or something, or a grocery store. Who knows?
So Urbaniak's a garbage man, and he seems to spend a lot of his free time in a local deli convenience store drinking Budweisers. There's so much beer in this movie, and it's all Budweiser.
All Budweiser.
Which I actually appreciated as an alcoholic, because I will not get a craving to drink if all I'm looking at is Budweiser.
It took me about a half an hour into the movie before I realized where we were. I did not immediately know we were in New York, and then I did not immediately know we're in Queens. I started to just get little hints.
I assumed we were going to be on Long Island, but then you start seeing those outside trains, the elevated trains. Yeah,
and
looks like a story or something.
Yeah, exactly. And then the also their house, and I'm thinking, well, of the boroughs that I know, the one with there are, at least where I've been in this area of Queens, whether it be Jackson Heights or Astoria, it seems to have the most greenery and the most houses. So I was like, okay, we must be in Queens. Plus the bodega and the drinking beer in the bodega, which is not done everywhere in New York, but it was in
We used to do it in Manhattan at New Andy's Deli.
Well, we could do it at that place at the end of the street.
I would get an Italian panini and two cans of Modelo, and I would slam them.
That was at the corner at the end of the street of the store, right?
Andy's Deli, yeah.
Andy's Deli, yeah. That's what I was thinking of. I was like, yeah, you could drink and sit at that fucking counter.
That's what I would do with my life, with my sad little life.
There wasn't much else to do there at that job. So that was interesting. That kind of, when I figured out that it was in Queens, it kind of changed the dynamic of my viewing a little bit, because it made it a little more relatable to me. I thought we were maybe in LA, or I didn't have a fucking clue. And that made it interesting. And then, so Simon Grimm basically is a garbage man who doesn't do shit. He just comes home to his depressed mother and his nympho sister.
Sister? Where did that come from?
She's a nymphomaniac, I would think.
What? I mean, she's just like a lady. She's a little bit trashy, but...
Roger Ebert called her that.
Roger Ebert? You read Roger Ebert's review and he called her a nymphomaniac?
Yeah, I read two reviews. I wanted to see what people thought. I read AV Club's and I read Roger Ebert.
Speaking of Roger Ebert, I found something horrible. I found out something terrible today.
Oh, geez. Here we go.
Okay, listen to this. John Carney, a filmmaker I like quite a lot. He made Once and Sing Street. He is attached currently to, and the listeners have heard this if they heard Lone Surviving Survivor this week, but he's making a film about the making of Beyond the Valley of the Dolls.
Oh boy.
And someone is attached to play Roger Ebert. Do you want to take a stab at that?
Paul Giamatti.
That'd be a good choice. Yeah. They didn't go with him. Who else might you think?
Richard Kind.
Actually, I would love that. That would be fantastic. But no. They went with, I'm so sorry, Josh Gad. Let's have Josh Gad play Roger Ebert.
God, we can't escape this fucking guy.
No, this fucking guy's everywhere.
He comes up on every show we do, never on purpose.
Fat piece of shit.
Jesus Christ. No, I don't think she'd implement. It was a funny thing to read because one of her first lines in the movie is, "God, I want to get fucked."
Right.
Which is very funny. But no, I mean, I guess she's not.
Well, there is the scene. I liked the
sad and
scene
lonely a
where
little
she
bit.
was having sex in her bedroom, and
right.
and Simon asks the mom, like, "Do you want me to tell her to like be quiet?" And the mom's like, "Oh, let her get fucked. It's fine."
Yeah. Well, it's unbelievable.
Oh,
yeah.
she says like she won't have that body forever. Like,
Ass. She won't have that ass. But yeah. No. So yeah, he lives with his mom and his sister. He's the only one gainfully employed. And then, this is why I want to talk through the plot as usual, because I was a little confused.
One day he's drinking behind the convenience store, and he sees Kevin Corrigan fucking his girlfriend. Or at least like dry humping her. And
yeah, Kevin Corrigan's girlfriend.
Yeah.
Or couple. Okay. Yeah,
Kevin
you're
Corrigan
right.
fucking Kevin Corrigan's girlfriend. I mean, how do you want me to put that?
You said he sees Kevin Corrigan fucking his girlfriend. For a second I thought Simon Grimm had a girlfriend.
Simon Grimm doesn't have a girlfriend.
No, he does not. So he's drinking beer, just watching this unfold.
Yeah. And they catch him and they sort of chase him away, and then they start bullying him at the convenience store afterwards. They even like follow him home at one point, right?
Yeah, very strange stuff. Yeah.
And then the best moment in the movie happens when at the convenience store, Kevin Corrigan's girlfriend pulls her pants down, pulls her skirt up or whatever, and takes her butt out and tells him to kiss her butt. And Corrigan is going so far as to like grab his head and like push it towards the butt. First of all, if I'm him, I'm just gonna do it.
Right.
Yeah.
Probably. Yeah. Probably just a wise move.
It's not every day like an attractive woman is just like, I'm forcing you to kiss my butt. Like, okay.
And then we see a real bad special effect of a tube clearly stuck on.
But it looks great. I know it looks fake, but he just vomits on her ass this fucking awful like creamy soup vomit, and it's such a great moment because there's just like a moment after that where none of them know what to say. Like the girl's not freaking out yet. He's like just staring like no one can believe this happened. Yeah. And then they all start freaking out on each other. It's great.
Yeah, and then soon after that or before that, I don't know, but we see this figure walking down the street, and that's Henry Fool carrying 2 bags. Now, it was never truly explained why Henry Fool is immediately allowed into this basement of this family. And how this
into whose basement?
Simon Grimm.
Well, I think he's squatting down there, and Simon immediately befriends him. And because Simon has had so few friends in his life, like the other two, the women of the house, just sort of like let it happen that he's going to live down there from now on.
I guess that's all implied. All of that, which is fine.
Well, again, Hal Hartley movies are fairly surrealistic, so a lot of times you kind of just have to like let yourself go with where the plot's going.
And I actually did. It was so well done that I didn't particularly question it.
Well, that's the strength. Like in his best movies, you go with it automatically. In his worst movies, you're like, "What are you doing, buddy?"
Right. I didn't. I was just curious because I forgot about it for most of it. It didn't even matter after like my first wanderings. But then on reflection, I was like, "How the fuck did he even?" But it's not logical, so it didn't really matter. It's not the point of the movie.
It's highly illogical.
What's that from?
You remember that?
From what? Is that another guest reference?
No, that was like there was like a weird music remix where George Takei was saying highly illogical. It was like a Star Trek song.
Highly illogical.
It was a hit for a second when I was a kid.
William Shatner's rap?
Oh, is it Shatner saying highly illogical?
No, it's they probably pop in Sulu, but I think it's your William Shatner's Star Trek rap.
It might be.
Great one.
Classic stuff. Let's cover Star Trek.
What happened? But so
No, you're not even gonna respond to that. Let's do that. 13 movies.
Yeah, sure. Absolutely. 13. Take us to Lucky 213. It wouldn't actually.
Lucky 213. Oh,
13.
episode. I get it. Okay.
It would be like 6.
No.
Yeah. So essentially, long story short, very long story short, Henry Fool encourages Simon to write down his thoughts on life, and Henry Fool is a very, very fascinating character who just kind of rambles on and on about his own egotistical, self-reflections on life, and considers himself sort of a
himself has a manifesto he's working on that he won't let anyone read for almost the entirety of the movie because he doesn't believe that it should be until it's completed.
Right. And what was interesting to me too was that we've seen, I have and you have, a lot of movies with two characters like this. I mean, they exist. There's always one protagonist who is very talkative and philosophical, and then another one who isn't, and then that one ends up sort of getting the advantage, and the other kind of shit on. But the way it's done in this movie is just extremely unique, and I think it's all about the specific dialogue, and more importantly, the performances are just so off the wall, and especially Thomas Ian Ryan.
It also helps that they're actors you're not as comfortable with.
That's true. Yeah, that's true.
So Henry Fool thinks of himself as sort of a genius who is almost like above humanity, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And he encourages Simon to write, and it turns out that Simon has a weird flair for it. I love the detail that Simon automatically writes in iambic pentameter without knowing what that is.
That's very funny.
That's brilliant.
Yeah. A lot of funny moments like that. A lot of great camera work where characters' reactions are taken, but you don't know quite. You know they're funny and you're supposed to laugh, but Hal Hartley doesn't milk the camera.
No,
he doesn't
it's very dry.
Very dry, but it works. It's pretentious dry.
I mean, it is. It's a little pretentious dry, but not in an annoying way. It's just he's an artist.
More like I got a sense of less Jim Jarmusch. See, when he does that stuff, I don't find it funny.
Talk shit about Jim.
No, it just occurred to me when I was watching the movie. I those long takes with the waiting for the laugh. And then, whereas opposed to this guy, Hal Hartley's just feels really a lot more he feels almost a little bit Lars von Trier in his approach.
Well, I think another reason he hasn't caught on as much as a lot of his peers is he really does not help you. You have to just get on his wavelength, or else you're not gonna have fun watching it.
Yeah, I think you're right, and if you're not on his wavelength, that's fine, but you probably really are going to either be on it or not, and that's going to completely determine whether you like this movie.
I really think if you're watching a Hal Hartley movie and you're a half hour in and you're having a bummer of a time, just fucking shut it off and never watch another Hal Hartley movie.
Yeah, I think you're probably right. It's not going to get better for you.
No.
I was hesitant in the first 6-7 minutes if this was going to be my cup of tea. But that quickly dissipated.
I'm so glad to hear this, by the way, because I was wondering if I'd have to sit here and defend this man to you.
No, not at all. Not at all. I'm really looking forward to the next two, and he got me with that. It really reminded me kind of a place in time too in the 90s. It really reminded me of kind of a Trees Loungy type of aesthetic going on there with the way the characters talk to each other. I found it really, really appealing. And I mean, some of the inexplicable stuff.
You know what I was blown away by? You know what hasn't changed since the 90s? Utz potato chips.
Oh, there, noticed it. Whole rack.
But they're in the convenience store, and they look exactly the same. Bags of Utz today look identical.
I have some right now in my cupboard.
But there are other brands. Go look at a Dorito in the 90s. Right. It's going to be unrecognizable.
Yeah, or Pepsis and Cokes.
Yeah. Oh my God! Someone is drinking at the very beginning of this fucking movie. Someone's drinking a Pepsi One, and I thought that was the funniest fucking thing.
Yeah. Even Dan and I, our beloved Poland Spring. I buy the cans more than Dan does, but they just changed their cans.
I know they're changing too much lately. I feel like they're flailing.
They're competing with La Croix.
They changed they went back to regular things too. You
What
see
is that? Lively Lemon?
It's not Lively Lemon anymore. See, this new wraparound just says Poland Spring with a twist of lemon. It does not
Lively Lemon.
Yeah,
here. It says Lively.
That's
Lemon.
the old one. You see how this is different?
Oh, I just bought this yesterday. Okay, interesting. Oh, look at that. All right.
I'm showing him on the fucking camera. This is the worst podcast.
Oh, I do have a lime here. Look at that. That's new. Twist of lime.
It does not say zesty lime anymore.
No zest. No, it's a twist. No zest.
That's right. So Henry Fool bones the mom, which I loved, even though he's got like a weird flirtation. I love, by the way, the scene he has with Parker Posey, where she asks him if she looks young.
That's great.
And he says yes, and she says, "How old do I look?" And he won't answer, and she says, so, like closer to 20 or 30, and he really thinks about it, and he just says 30.
Yeah. It's hilarious. And she fucking runs away and won't talk to him.
I looked up Parker Posey, and she was like 29 at the time, so he was close.
Yeah. That's right. So, everything's kind of going well, and then it takes that very, very strange plot turn where we find out that he is out of prison for a sex offense, and then you wonder what it was for, and then he quite plainly tells Simon what it is, and it does lend an air of very strange creepiness. I mean, there's a couple scenes after that I almost felt weren't necessary. I did feel were unnecessary, like he's in the convenience store and he's talking to his parole officer, and he caresses the chin of some like 12-year-old girl before he sits down.
I do think that one of the things you are supposed to think he's creepy. I don't think Henry Fool's the hero of this film.
Oh no, but like I wonder what that was jarring. It's one thing to talk about that it happened,
but I think he doesn't feel shame about it. I think Henry Fool, as he is in the movie, I think he understands. So he spent 7 years in prison for fucking a 13-year-old girl.
Right.
I think only one time.
He says he got caught, implying.
Right. So the one time he got caught. Not that, any one time is not a jailable offense. So
in his mind, it's that he's no remorse. It's that he got caught. That's the only reason.
I think he knows that it's wrong. Like he understands that at the time he was breaking the law and doing a bad thing, and that was part of the appeal of it to him. But also, 7 years later, and having spent that time in jail, he doesn't particularly feel bad about it. He does express annoyance at one point. He says something like 7 fucking years for one beautiful afternoon or something like that.
Right, yes. Yeah, he does. And he's even a stranger character too, because he seems to actually be just the sex addict, because I mean he's also, he gets with the mother, he gets with the daughter. He doesn't seem relegated by, age. He's just like this fucking awful kind of, what's the word, just this
he'll stick it in anything.
This is just this homeless waif who's just like ready to, he doesn't care, but he's still not somebody in some weird way, and I think that's Hal Hartley's manipulation. He's not somebody that you hate.
Mm-hmm.
He's still, because I think a lot of that.
He's not someone you love either. He's just someone you're watching with a watchful eye. I think it lends attention to the movie, because you do grow to like Simon and Faye and the mom, and you're just waiting for him to fuck them over somehow.
That's true.
And it kind of never happens. Like, he gets fucked over.
He gets fucked over, but he does kind of fuck him over, because he, I mean, he gets Parker Posey pregnant, and he has.
Yeah, but they have Ned, and Ned
Right.
is the lead of the third movie.
Right, but I mean, he wants nothing to like when he first hears about it.
Well, he
has a realistic.
We cut
reaction
forward
he gets,
in time.
so.
We cut forward in time to the time like Ned is like 6 or 7, and he is just like he's hanging out in a bar right with Ned and letting Ned drink and smoke.
Very funny. I thought that was really funny.
It is very funny. But then he basically calls Parker Posey and has her pick up the kid, like, for good. Like, I'm giving you this child, and I'm not going to be his father anymore.
See, I didn't pick that up on that scene. That's interesting. I didn't think that that's what his intention was. That's a great sequence because he's in the bar and some guy starts heckling him about the newspaper, saying how Henry Fool didn't deserve to win the Nobel Prize because
Simon Grimm was the Nobel Prize.
Simon, yeah, and Henry Fool decides to defend him, and I thought that was interesting because there's a whole thing where
up to this point, Henry had only been critical of Simon's success, but I also think at a certain point, like, that's his guy to make fun of. He's not going to let someone else do it.
That's right, and that brings you. There's a little bit of you that feels it's a nice thing that he feels this protection, this protectivism over Simon. And it's definitely funny when he gives the kid, what does he do? He gives him a cigarette, the kid coughs, and then he gives him the whiskey, and the Parker Posey comes in and she goes, Has he been drinking? And he was just like, only because he was smoking.
Yeah.
But yeah, great. So Simon gets literary fame, and we
passed through a lot of shit.
Yes.
I mean, there's a whole section where he's just writing and like slowly gaining like local fame, and they print a piece of his poem in like a high school newspaper, and then the school board hates it, and so he gets some notoriety on that level, and it's all a build up, and he's considered this sort of like. I love what they describe his writing as antisocial. I love when conservatives call things antisocial. That's always funny to me. And meanwhile, Kevin Corrigan is stumping for sort of a right-wing politician.
Yes, Congressman for the Republicans.
Very unsubtly named Fear.
Yeah, right. And actually, I'm really glad you brought that up because when we first started this episode, you said sometimes Hal Hartley makes his characters sound smart. People in Long Island, or really in people in general, sound smarter than they probably would be in real life. And Kevin Corrigan at the beginning of the movie is a fucking idiot. And then as soon as he puts on a tie, he's out there going like, I mean, he's
still an idiot. Yeah, he's just parroting basically MAGA catchphrases and shit. I love the one part where he sort of gives a MAGA-like speech in the convenience store, and then like they shoot him down, and then he just looks at the Asian proprietor and just goes, immigrant. Like, I love the idea of just using the word immigrant as an insult. Yeah,
that's the insult.
Yeah.
I mean, his character, I thought Kevin Corrigan was really good in the role. I thought he could have been a little better drawn.
Well, I do think if you're going to cut anything from the movie, it's the Kevin Corrigan subplot. It's a little weird in the last, like, 15 minutes when, like, now we're dealing with Kevin Corrigan beating his wife and possibly molesting his child. Like, where did that come from?
Very odd, because in the beginning, and I guess it's part of the Hartley world, but, like, he looks like a fucking rebel without a cause at the beginning, and then he just to win his girlfriend or wife, whatever she is to him back, he puts on a suit and tie and starts stumping for this guy. And then the next thing we know, he's a wife beater.
But we also cut forward in time a bunch in this movie without really explaining it. And honestly, the only way you can really understand it is through the children. Because, so Kevin Corrigan has a daughter named Pearl, who for the vast majority of the movie is, like, in a baby carriage or whatever. And then by the time it's at the end of the movie, she's, like, probably 7 years old or 8 years old, and she's talking to Henry Fool and telling...
She's older than that.
Is she older
like
than
12
that? All right.
Over 13.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, she is like 12 or 13 because she's played by Christy Carlson Romano from Even Stevens. She's Shia LaBeouf's sister. She's also the voice of Kim Possible on the Disney network.
Didn't know any of that.
There you go.
I'm a better man.
Yeah. So yeah, she tells Henry that her father is abusing her and beating up the wife, and Henry goes over to the house and ends up killing Kevin Corrigan with a screwdriver.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't see any of that coming, and I mean, it also raised a very interesting. I mean, the movie is really full of these moral traps, almost not moral traps, but moral challenges for especially for Henry Fool. I mean, when she tells him that in the boiler room in the basement, his motivation that is he trying to make up for what he's done to girls? I mean, or is he just full of rage to go fighting as like the romantic Hemingway writer to right a wrong?
I think more the latter, because I really don't think Henry Fool becomes self-aware enough to have that realization until literally the last 10 seconds of the movie.
Which you're going to have to explain to me. I mean, we all have a different take on it or the same.
Well, at this point, Urbaniak has won the Nobel Prize, and he's going to fly to Sweden to collect it. He is dating his ginger editor at the publishing company. I love that too. Touch. And I love that they don't show them get together. It's just like like the next scene, they're together.
Yeah. She answers the door.
Yeah, she's in the limo with him. And Urbaniak, I guess, like, nobody knows what Simon Grimm looks like is the conceit.
He's like a Banksy or something.
Yeah.
J.D. Salinger.
Actually, thematically, the movie's pretty similar to Exit Through the Gift Shop.
How so? Interesting.
I just think it's a lot of what's bullshit and what's real, and how much of criticism is just like group mentality versus what's really good. Because I mean, the editor, I love the editor who reads Urbaniak's work at first and calls it like disgusting. He even says like, "Why'd you give this to me?"
The publisher.
Yeah, the publisher. What did I say?
Editor.
Well, whatever. And so he's reading his work, and then he decides to publish it. And Urbaniak, the first thing he says is, "But you didn't like it." And his response, just because it's getting so popular, he just goes, "It's growing on me."
Yeah, right. Total bullshit. Yeah, total bullshit. And also a great, great moment, which I knew was coming from the second Henry Fool was on screen, was that his writings it's a complete piece of shit.
Yeah, Urbaniak brings Henry Fool's writings to the publisher, and the publisher hates it. And I love that he feels like he's fulfilled his friend duty by showing it to the publisher, but now Henry Fool's asking for like a further step. No, you've got to like tell him it's great, like make it happen.
Yeah, and I really that's how invested I was in the movie. I mean, I was when the publisher goes, "Look, man, I'm giving you $100,000 with a 60-40 split," and I'm sitting sort of at the edge of my seat going, "Don't fucking turn this shit down. Don't do that." And I knew he was going to, and he doesn't. And I was just so happy.
Right.
I was like,
he doesn't, God. But then he's going to let Henry Fool be Simon Grimm. He's going to let him get on the plane at the end and go to Sweden and collect the Nobel Prize for the work that Simon wrote.
Okay. I got to confess. Didn't understand that at all.
Oh, okay.
I thought that.
I mean, maybe I'm wrong. I don't know.
No, I mean, you could be right. That's actually really most likely what happened. I didn't read into it as much. Or didn't pay attention closely enough. I just thought Henry Fool murders Kevin Corrigan, and James Urbaniak simply is able to procure him a passport.
I don't think
and
murder
gets him to the country, and that's it.
I don't think murder matters that much in the world of Hal Hartley. I feel like there aren't a lot of like police investigations in his movies.
Yeah, well, no, but he had to get him out of the country. They're rushing to get him out of the country. So
they're rushing though because they're running late for the plane. Like his agent, his literary agent, is like, "Come on, we gotta go."
That's why I didn't notice that they might be replacing each other and going in his stead, because they all know his agents and they know who he is and what he looks like. So I didn't think it was him.
But I think Urbaniak's king at this point. He can do whatever the fuck he wants. So he's on the runway, and then Henry Fool turns back and starts running back towards the airport. I think implying that he's going to let Urbaniak be the star he deserves to be.
Okay, so the way you see it is like
that. Look, we're going to find out next week, right? Fucking
right.
Surely Faye Grimm has to reference this.
Hope so, yeah.
I saw Faye Grimm before I saw Henry Fool. So, that probably accounts for why it's so low on these lists and shit.
Yeah,
and see,
for me, taking how I watched it was simply that he's either going to, I guess I took it as far more metaphorical, like he decides you don't know if he's running to the plane or going back to the airport. You can't tell.
That's kind of interesting. I guess it is up to you to choose. You're right. Yeah, I thought, to me, it maybe it's just because I believe in Henry. I was thinking he turned around. I don't want to live in a world where Henry took over for Simon.
Oh, that wasn't right. I mean, but the way I viewed it was that's not why he was running back. If he was running back, he was running back to like go back to his family. That's kind of how I took it. But this whole Nobel thing throws a monkey wrench in my viewing. So I guess that's pretty much, that's a really good look into it though, because as a movie with no real specifics on anything, that's entirely possible what you just summarized. So anyway, regardless,
can I go through a couple of notes that we skipped over?
And also I want to mention the music written by Hal Hartley.
He always does that. Yeah,
very, very good. Mm-hmm. He, especially that last half hour, he gets some very cool stuff in there. He's really good.
A lot of tones. That's his style.
Yeah, but it's good. It's simplistic without being cutesy. I thought it was good.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so notes that we didn't get to. Hey, there's a joke about Parker Posey printing her resumes out on scented paper.
Yes,
I think Legally Blonde stole that.
Oh, is that right? Okay, sure. I remember that. Okay, wow. That was very funny, too.
Yeah, that's a good scene. Also, it might be the same scene where Henry Fool or it's Simon, I think, inquiring about... Is it Henry or Simon inquiring about computers? And he goes, I just love this. Is all this true about the internet? How you can get pornography?
Oh, that's Henry Fool.
I just love the idea. Like, that was where we were with the internet back then.
Of course. Absolutely, man. I remember the first time I think I'd ever really seen an email sent. I was dating a girl, and we went to her college library because she had to send an email, and she was on the computer.
Were you like psyched? Like, really? Can I watch?
I wasn't very interested because I didn't care about technology. Weird, huh?
Yeah.
No, but I didn't know what she was doing. And I was just like, what is this? And she's like, I'm sending an email to my professor. And I'm like, oh, that's an email, huh? I've heard about those.
Yeah. So what happens? He goes on the computer and then it's there. The thing you sent him, huh?
I didn't send
I'm being you trying to understand email, you piece of
shit. Oh, okay.
Okay.
Hey, I was writing letters through 2015. I
was writing letters into like 2005, 2006. I used to write letters a lot, yeah. So, H-Dog, I also liked that Henry proposes to Parker Posey while having diarrhea on the toilet.
That scene turned into something I really was repulsed by and thought could have been cut into one of the funniest fucking things. And it's all Parker Posey.
Yeah, because honestly, like when he started having like diarrhea, I was like, what? Hal Hartley, what is with you?
Yeah, why? Like, why so graphic?
Yeah. But then it turns into that.
He comes in and takes like the washer from a fucking refrigerator that he wants to think is a ring, and he knows it isn't. And give it to her.
I thought he was about to get a Blumpkin, bro.
Parker.
Yeah. Okay. What do you give this movie?
I'm giving this movie a solid 4.
Yeah, me too.
Okay. Yeah. It's not quite a 5.
No. There are only 2 Hal Hartley 5s, and those are his first 2 films.
Well, we'll see.
Oh, well, yeah, I guess we will.
But no, it's a very, very, very good movie. 4 stars. I guess if it has drawbacks, it's just some of the. I don't know. It's almost just kind of not. I mean, is it capable of being a 5-star movie? It doesn't really do much wrong.
No, it doesn't hit that.
Yeah,
it just doesn't.
No,
it never quite reaches that height.
Yeah, that's actually a pretty simple, astute way of putting it. It's just not some sort of masterpiece of a movie, but it's better than just some indie write-off.
Yeah. Who's your MVP?
This was hard because I wanted to give it to a lot of people, and I'm going to not feel bad about not giving it to Parker because I got another movie to do that if I want. I'm going to go with Thomas Ian Ryan for Henry Fool because he kind of carries a lot of those sequences. He makes them really fascinating with his delivery and everything.
How interesting. I assumed you were going to go with Parker, and so I went another direction.
Oh, okay.
I think James Urbaniak is really great in this movie. I mean, he's such a weird actor, and he's chosen to be sort of a weirdo character actor. He plays a lot of roles that might be violent or weird in some way. But back here, I mean, it's such a quiet performance. He has so little dialogue, and it really packs a punch, and you really fucking root for that character. Like when he shows up with that girlfriend, I'm like, oh, he has a girlfriend.
Yeah,
nice.
It's true. No, it's true, and it's of the 2 men in the movie, it's certainly the less acrobatic role. I mean, he has to do a lot with very little.
No, of course. What's your guy's name, Henry Fool?
Thomas Ian Ryan, but I keep calling him that, and I want to make sure that's actually his name.
He's delivering a lot of monologues because he's spouting his philosophies and shit, right. And so it's a much showier performance. He has a couple of sex scenes. He's got a diarrhea scene that turns into a proposal scene. Urbaniak, I think, has the harder job because it's a smaller role, and I think he fucking nails it.
It's Thomas J. Ryan. Sorry.
What were you saying?
Thomas Ian Ryan.
You know what you were thinking of? Thomas Ian Nicholas from the American Pie movies.
Thomas J. Ryan, yeah. LVP, not because of the performance, but just like I had actually pointed out earlier, and you actually agreed with me, but I actually really like this actor, but I just think the character is poorly drawn, and that's Kevin Corrigan.
Kevin Corrigan will never be the least valuable player in any movie.
Kevin
Corrigan has innate value.
I agree. I was just kind of lost. I thought then more like the character is, and I don't remember the character's name in this, but he's going to be.
Look, I'm looking at the minor characters. There's the publisher. There's the priest we go to a couple times who's pretty good.
He's good.
Yeah. There's Hal Hartley's wife, who played the female convenience store clerk, the Asian woman.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Okay.
They met doing Flirt because there's a section of that film that takes place in Tokyo.
Wow. Mm-hmm. Very cool. All right.
My LVP, fucking hell.
I know. I had a tough time. I had to go for character, not actor.
You did. And This is a bullshit answer, but
Corrigan's wife?
No, I thought of that, but I love the vomit on the butt scene so much that I don't want to change a thing about it.
No, that's not his wife. The wife who he beats.
That's you know what? She is a little bit. They could have gotten someone better for that.
I'll
go with that. I was gonna say the stripper, or no, I was gonna say the politician, Fear. Like, I feel like we could have done more with that character.
Yeah, but he's barely in the
I
movie.
know he's only on like TVs and shit. So yeah, I'll go with Corrigan's wife. You're right. She's sort of nothing, and considering the central role she plays in the third act, they could have done more with that character. Okay, right. What a fun time, Henry. You have a superhero count?
I do. I got a 4 count.
Wow,
so
a 4 count.
I know. I was surprised too. Yeah. Oh.
Let it play out. I don't care. I was enjoying it. I got like mesmerized during that.
Well, it's a whole long clip I have there. Yeah. All right. The first one of 4 is Parker Posey, who was in
Kitty Kowalski in Superman Returns, and also some lady in Blade Trinity.
Correct. She played Danica Talos. How perfect is that?
She's bound to pop up in a Marvel thing at some point.
She should. I'd love to see her. Yeah.
She'd actually be great in a DC. You know, they should have put her in that Kristen Wiig villain role in this new Wonder Woman.
Cheetah,
yeah, she'd be good.
That'd be cool. All right, Mr. Deng.
He's James Sato. He's in a ton of shit. That's the actor's name, right?
Yeah, good call. Yeah. Well, he's got 3 to his name.
Wow.
He was the Shredder in the original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles live action movie, 1990.
That's right. I recognize the top of his head.
You recognize his eyes.
Yeah, that little face.
Anything in fucking Shredder.
And the bridge of his nose.
Exactly. He played
Orokusaki.
And I love this, of course. This character's name in this was Viet Interpreter. Mm-hmm. So that's great because any Asian can play any Asian.
Okay,
country,
what superhero movie had some Vietnam stuff?
Action.
Yeah, I'm gonna say it's got to be Watchmen.
No, you're not. This is I mean, it's not that obscure at all. But he was in one episode of
Legends of Tomorrow. Oh, the Incredible Hulk. Okay.
Fucking Lou Ferrigno. Yeah. And he was most recently played UT in The Iron Fist.
Oh, God. Okay.
Well,
I guess Iron Fist was hiring any New York-based Asian actor.
Yeah, I'm sure they were. They couldn't get one to play Iron Fist, but
God forbid.
That's fine. Kevin Corrigan, who this has come up before because we've covered him before, but he played a ranger / security guard in the TV show Superboy.
Look, I'm just trying to guard you, Superboy.
There's kryptonite back there. All right, just leave alone the kryptonite. I can do what I can try. You're Goon. You'll always be Goon. You're never going to not be Goon.
No, I'm Rocky.
You know why they call you Goon? Because you're a fucking idiot. All right. Buffalo 66. Great movie, folks. Check it out.
Well, eventually on the podcast, we'll cover Buffalo's number 1 through 65 as well.
1 per week. It'll be a year. A year and a month that'll be. And last but not least, James Urbaniak has been in a lot, relatively speaking.
Well, okay? he has like 200 credits on IMDb.
Well, I got 4 of them that are superhero related. He played Professor Pig, P-Y-G, in the TV cartoon Suicide Squad Hell to Pay.
That's a legitimate character. I think it's a Batman villain, like a more modern Batman villain.
Okay, interesting. They'll know him. In the cartoon for TV Guardians of the Galaxy, he played Ebony Maw.
Yep, that's one of Thanos. No, he's like it's from an Avengers storyline. He's like a harbinger of evil. I think actually one of those fucking, those like Thanos henchmen in the recent Avengers movies. One of those is Ebony Maw.
I love how you said so fucking casually as though, I mean, you're talking to me, so it makes sense, but I love how you said like it's just a normal part of conversation. It reminded me of how I speak about Lord of the Rings. You were like, he's just like a harbinger of evil, that kind of thing.
Well, they're a dime a dozen in comics.
That's a fucking thing that everyone knows about. You know, the harbinger of evil. You know.
Yeah. Well, some superhero villains, super villains, have like a thing where like someone shows up. Like a few days before. Apocalypse has this in the X-Men. Remember, there's like the Horsemen of the Apocalypse.
No, I know. I just like how you said it.
No,
like
I know what you're saying, but I'm explaining myself.
Yes.
Even Galactus has his harbinger is the Silver Surfer.
Absolutely, it's like the nanotechnology in Iron Man suit, obviously.
Or the unstable molecules in the Fantastic Four, right?
That's right. Or the what are they? Philobites and what do we call
midichlorians?
Yes, thank you. Wow, you knew what I meant. Thank you.
I'm always thinking about midichlorians.
Yes, I know. It's an important thing to stock up on in this day and age right now, especially. In the live action, very recent and still airing Supergirl? Or are we off the air?
No, still on.
He's in that, plays a Maldorian doctor.
Why not?
And last but not least, plays Miles Van Ert in Agent Carter.
Oh, I watched that. Yeah, I think he was maybe an evil scientist.
Sounds right. I could see him in that.
Sure. I can picture him in a lab coat. Okay, yeah. Henry, what a fun week. We're going to talk about Faye Grimm and Ned Rifle next week. We'll get to see Parker again. We'll get to see Aubrey Plaza. Hal Hartley tearing it up.